All this to say that this leads them to reconsider their intelligence. And when they reconsider their intelligence, they soon realize that Cape Esperance is, in fact, not the place that the Japanese are landing. This is the craziest thing, but the Japanese are actually sailing past Henderson Field and all the Marine defensive lines deeper down towards the American Navy and dropping their guys off at Taivu Point, further to the east.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So instead of Cape Esperance, which is on the western side of the island, and it'd be closer to, Rabaul and everything else, and they not have to risk coming into the, American lines, they're sailing past the American lines to drop their guys off. There's a village nearby Taivu Point called Tasimboko, and Edson decides that he wants to approach Lieutenant Colonel Thomas about going and conducting a reconnaissance of that area because they keep getting word that the Japanese have been reinforcing, and they want to find out what's going on. So they take this to Vandergrift. Vandergrift approves, and the Marine Raiders head on their way. Now, Edson had gotten, we mentioned earlier, the native scouts, right? Part of the Coastal Watch.
Yeah.
They had been bringing him information that there was a large force of Japanese at Tasimboko that had just landed at Taivu Point. So Edson takes into account this intelligence and decides instead of making a landfall right at Tasimboko, he's going to land a little further east at Taivu Point and march inland to Tasimboko, see what's going on, not risk, having to come under enemy fire just to make landfall.
Right.
Well, on September 8th, him and his 1st Marine Raider Battalion make landfall at Taivu Point, and they quickly realize that intelligence was correct and that they made the right decision.
Oh, wow.
As they move along the coast, they're going to discover more than 1,000 life preservers placed in neat rows, a large number of foxholes, and several unattended 37mm anti-tank guns. This is the 5,000-man force that had been landed at Taivu Point.
And they're landing supplies and big guns, too.
Now, they're getting ready to make a march through the jungle, this Japanese force, so they can't take any of that stuff with them, and that's what they're coming across.
Yeah. Wow, that is some recon stuff, man. They're super amphibious. Like, if it was an infantry battalion, they would just, you're forced march, you're going
to go by land,
You're going by land through the jungle. Maybe some of you go up by the beach, but these guys they're doing it. They got all the equipment. They got all the stuff. Do it right.
And let's not lie, they got the balls to do it too.
Yeah.
So needless to say, Edson and his guys, they see all this and they know they're on to something. There's only a rear guard of about 300 Japanese soldiers securing the village of Tasimboko and the Japanese supply dumps located near there. The Marines will soon run into this force, and they encounter stubborn resistance, including a 75mm artillery piece firing point blank down the coastal road. So needless to say, it's not a light day at the office. They're really in a fight. Now, the fighting kind of goes back and forth a little bit, but around noon, Edson's raiders will enter the village and will have taken care of the Japanese troops that were, still there as a rear guard.
Oh, wow.
And what they find is an area stockpiled with large quantities of food, ammunition, weapons, like we had mentioned, 75mm artillery pieces. They're finding all kind of stuff. Well, he radios Vandergrift, and Vandergrift says back, well done, and gives the order to re-embark your craft, get back here to Lunga Point, right? Get back to us.
Okay.
This is interesting. Edson decides to ignore that order.
Oh, yeah.
They stay put for the time being, and his men set about destroying as much of this stuff as they can. Troops wreck powerful radio stations. They bayonet cans of food. They tore open bags of rice. They're even going to urinate on some of the food and the contents that spill out onto the ground just to ensure that the Japanese can't come back and use it later. They also are going to take a lot of this food for themselves because, again, they've been starving. Just days before this, they were still on Tulagi, where there was really no food supply.
Yeah.
So you got to think these guys are just dying. They're super hungry.
I pack it out too, man.
Right. So an interesting thing, and I've heard that, a frontline reporter with the Marines actually notices this stuff, but they gather some documents and take it back with them. And this is the whole purpose of this excursion is it's not maybe not the purpose, but this is the silver lining, right? Wasn't a huge engagement. The Marines ended up counting 27 enemy dead bodies. So they estimated they had killed around 50. Their own losses were 2 dead, 6 wounded. So nothing like Alligator Creek. It's not a substantial win. It is a win, but it's not a substantial win until you consider the documents they find. The raiders had put a serious dent in Japanese logistics, fire support, and communications by destroying those radio stations. The intelligence gathered is going to have far-reaching consequences because it reveals many of the details of the coming Japanese offensive. And the final thing they kind of walk away with is the setback hurt the enemy's morale and further boosted that of the raiders. Now they're starting to get some confidence. This is twice now they've interacted with Japanese forces, considering Tulagi and Tasimboko, and they're walking away with the upper hand.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip from America Fog of War, catch the rest of the episode here.